Alrighty, so news of the week episode on this Thursday afternoon, and obviously this is kind of also partially a review in terms of all the deadline transfer deal and also the outbound transfer that is going on because yesterday we saw the end of the secondary transfer window, and just because the deadline is now over doesn't mean that we're still not going to hear team that is gonna confirm signing the deal. Obviously, the whole point in terms of the deadline is that if you're a club and you're able to submit the right paperwork just in time for the deadline, even though you're not gonna announce it officially, you can still, of course, get that move done. And also, in terms of these outbound transfer, there's still a lot of rumors around them, and they are not completely confirmed, mainly because the European transfer window is still going on for a couple more weeks. So there's going to be definitely some more signings, but there definitely going to be some more outbound transfer as we get into these next couple of days. But first of all, before we talk about the crazy transfer that has happened in these past couple of days, we have to first talk about the U.S. men's national team. So there was definitely a bombshell that was released a couple of days ago, and that, of course, is there was a huge report suggesting that Mauricio Pochettino could be the next head coach of the U.S. men's national team. And today, it feels like it's almost all but confirmed that that is the case. I mean, some big outlet like ESPN, Bleacher Report, and all these big news outlet have been reporting that this, of course, would come. Now, obviously, there's been some mixed reaction in terms of Maurizio Pochettino going to become the next head coach of the U.S. men's national team. Obviously, this is a huge upgrade, in my opinion, to Greg Berhalter. In fact, I think pretty much anything is an upgrade right now. That is Greg Berhalter. Well, unless of course if Gareth Southgate somehow becoming the new head coach of the U.S. men's national team, but yeah, there is definitely some mixed reaction. Obviously, some people really like this move. This is probably one of the biggest names that the U.S. have got in terms of the head coaching role, probably since Jurgen Klinsmann, back in 2010, when Klinsmann, of course, back then, coming with the U.S. men's national team after he took the job for Bayern Munich, although I think he only spent one season there. That is, and Pochettino obviously been with a lot of big club. His most recent club, of course, is Chelsea, and I do think that as a Chelsea fan, I was kind of disappointed to see him let go, especially the way that yes, I know it was a chaotic season that Chelsea, of course, had, but that's what happened when you decided to sign everybody in this team and just have no chemistry whatsoever, and not to mention, he kind of did get things right. Chelsea actually went on a 5-game winning streak and pushed that team all the way up into sixth position in the Premier League. And that if he was maybe given one more season, I think he would have done well with Chelsea. And also not to mention, some of the other accolades that he had done. Remember, he's the guy that brought Tottenham all the way to the Champions League final a couple of years ago. Now, obviously, the people that feel like a little underwhelmed with this hiring and maybe are a little concerned about this hiring is the fact that he isn't really a guy that is known to break through in some of these big games. And again, as I mentioned, even though he has accomplished a lot, he's a guy that when it comes to where there's a trophy on the line, yeah, he doesn't really get over the hump because of it. But that being said, I don't expect this U.S. team to, of course, win the World Cup in 2026. All I ask for this team is to have a good run on home soil, and there's a reason why this hire is very important for this national team because after just such a disappointing Copa America uh, campaign that they had and heading into this tournament on home soil, they need to not only get the hiring right, but need to bring a big name. I mean, there's a reason why for a while Jurgen Klopp was rumored to be the U.S. men's national team head coach. That would have been a big name out there. But Mauricio Pochettino is not a bad name either, and it's also interesting to see that with him also do well when it comes to young players, and that I also think that this hiring also happened mainly because Matt Crocker, the sporting director for the U.S. Federation. He was actually with Southampton, and he was there when Maurizio Pochettino was still with Southampton before he went to Tottenham. There might be some connection of why this, of course, move was made. But yeah, this is definitely a big move for the U.S. And again, we'll see when it does confirm. And if it does confirm, we're gonna see how the U.S. will look in these next couple of years because again, this tournament on home soil in 2026, there's a lot of expectation that has to be met. I mean, the bare minimum obviously is getting out of the group, but there's no doubt that this team should go deep in this tournament, and Pochettino is a guy that has known to get lesser team to go deep into the tournament. Now, in terms of winning all of them, that's again, as I said that's been one of his problems throughout his coaching career. But I don't expect that for the U.S. men's national team. I expect this team to at least go on a deep run and really put the fan base, which is something that I don't even want to talk about now the U.S. men's national team fan base of being just kind of full of just kind of on one half of it being a doomer kind of fan base, and then on one half being kind of an optimistic kind of fan base. But at least it will reunite the fan base and really cheer for this team as we have the 2026 World Cup on home soil. Now, moving on in terms of the next news, and we had a new sporting director that was hired today, and that of course came from the expansion team, San Diego FC. So for a while, there's been a lot of question of who exactly is going to be the sporting director and the GM, and there's no doubt there's still going to be question in terms of who is going to be the head coach. I remember a couple of weeks ago there was rumors that Bob Bradley was going to take that job, but obviously that didn't happen. But today they have announced that they have hired Tyler Heaps as the sporting director and GM of the expansion side San Diego FC. Now, this is a guy that also have history in terms of being with the U.S. Soccer Federation. He's also a former AS Monaco sporting director during that time, and also part of the Right to Dream Academy. And knowing that San Diego have said that they want to be a team that is kind of deemed as the IX of MLS, want to develop some really good young talented player, it's no surprise that they decided to hire him. I mean, especially with the way all the resume that he fits, it kind of fits perfectly of what San Diego, of course, needs. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see now that they of course have a sporting director and GM. I expect San Diego is going to start making some move. I mean, we're not that long before the expansion draft is going to happen, and there's no doubt that in these next couple of months we're going to get more news about this team starting to build the roster, but also most importantly, who's going to be the head coach of this team in the inaugural year. Now, Chicago Fire sporting director Greg Hitz, he will be departing after the 2024 season. So this has to feel like the Fire just have one MLS Cup, because a lot of Fire fans has been demanding this to happen for the past couple of years, and finally they of course got their wish. And well, again, Greg Hitz basically said that he stepped down in charge of this team rather than the Fire decided to get rid of him. Still, this is a move that has been just long over for Dewey. Just clearly hasn't bring the all the signings that he has made has clearly not worked out whatsoever, and that it was about time that he of course would depart for this job, and that of course is the case. And also, there's another good news that the Fire fans saw in terms of this week's transfer deadline rumor, as we'll get to. But moving on now, talking about the signings, because again, there was a lot of signings that has happened yesterday, and I'll say this in the end of the video, but I'll mention it right now. Or I'll say it again in the end of the video. I'll mention it right now. If I miss any signings and rumors at the end of this video, let me know in the comments below. But we start off with FC Cincinnati. They have acquired Nico Giacchini on loan from Como. So obviously, Nico Giacchini, a guy that he definitely made his big move to Europe from St. Louis last year after having a breakout season. Though unfortunately, Giacchini hasn't really played a lot for Como. In fact, I heard they played like nine games with Como right now. He hasn't really been getting a lot of minutes, and it seems like this is a classic example of a guy that make the jump to Europe, hasn't worked out. Now he looks like he's going to come back to MLS. Now it's important to note this is only a loan move. There's no option to buy as a result of this, but yeah, this is definitely a big get for this Cincinnati team. I mean, ideally, I was thinking that maybe Cincinnati was gonna be bringing more defenders, knowing the fact that that's been one of the big issue that they've been having lately. But adding another piece in Nico Giacchini, a guy that has been a proven goal scorer last year, and if he can just show almost similar to what he did last year with St. Louis to the Cincinnati team, and not to mention, you're gonna get those chances to score goals when you have literally probably the best number 10 in the league in Acosta in that number 10 role. So there's no doubt that Giacchini, if you thought that last season could be a good was a good season for St. Louis, there could be a chance this season could be even better. And also, not to mention, this is clearly a replacement for Aaron Bupanza, which, yeah, let's just say that Aaron Bupanza time with Cincinnati go just as well as Emmanuel Reynoso during his time with Minnesota United. Now, the Chicago Fire, they have acquired Ariel Lassiter from Montreal in exchange for 150,000 K general allocation money. I think this is a good deal for both of these team. I mean, Ariel Lassiter, I think he's kind of a very underrated attacker in this league. He does some really good thing for Montreal during his time. And again, obviously going back to that big trade that we saw a couple of years ago, where Montreal, of course, sold a couple of their players to Inter Miami, and then in exchange, of course, Montreal, of course, got Aaron Laster and Bryce Duke as two of those players, and I think both of those guys have been doing very well. Though again, this feels like it's maybe kind of a roster dump move that Montreal has had. Maybe he is occupy a lot of the amount that Montreal has in terms of their salary cap. Though I say that, but Montreal has been kind of been a bit of a mess when it comes to balancing their books lately. But obviously, I think Chicago has got a decent player, and especially for only 150,000 cam, I think this is a good signing for the Fire. Now, Sporting KC, they have signed Spanish center back Joaquin Sanchez from Real Valladolid. So yeah, Sporting KC actually made a signing. I think I'm pretty sure a lot of SKC fans are kind of shocked about that because it feels like they never make signings during the transfer window. But yeah, this will definitely help their defensive situation. Not quite sure if he's going to be a regular starter. I mean, he is a guy that I've heard some good things about him. But one thing that could be a little bit questionable is the fact that he did came off of a serious injury, and that hasn't played a lot with Real Valladolid during this season. So we'll see whether or not if he's going to be implemented straight away into the team. I'm assuming he's probably going to be used as a substitute, but once he started to do well, he could be the starting center back for this SKC team that desperately needs some defensive help heading into the latter part of the season. Now, Charlotte, they have finally signed an attacking midfielder. So Charlotte, man, it's been a crazy transfer window, at least in the last couple of days, where they've been desperately need an attacking midfielder, and they tried everything to do so. A couple of days ago, it looked like they were gonna make just an absolute steal of a move of getting Feyenoord attacking midfielder Calvin staying for I think only like $7 million, which would just be an absolute bargain consider he is one of the better player in the Eredivisie. Obviously, that move didn't happen. And then they decided to do something even more crazier, and that of course is getting Miguel Almiron from Newcastle. And I'm kind of surprised that Miguel Almiron hasn't thought about coming back to MLS, and especially I'm kind of surprised Atlanta hasn't even think about doing so, because why not have a little bit of a reunion, and especially a guy that doing his time with Newcastle, it's been kind of meh. He hasn't really kind of breaked out the way that he did when he was with Atlanta. Well, that would have been a big move if Charlotte, of course, would have done that. Obviously, that move didn't happen. And then they were also looking to try to get Giovanni Lo Celso from Spurs, but obviously that move didn't happen. So instead, this is pretty much their consolation prize. They decided to sign attacking midfielder Pep Biel on loan from Olympiacos. Now, I don't really know a lot about this guy, and that again, the good thing about this deal is that it's a loan deal. There is no option to buy, although there is an option where they can extend this loan if he does well. So anytime when you have a loan move like that, it's a low risk, high reward kind of situation. But again, after all those names that Charlotte, of course, were linked with just a couple of days ago, it's a little bit underwhelming that they have to settle for this guy instead. I mean, I'm not saying that this guy is not good. I've heard that he could be decent for the Charlotte team, but again, compared to the name like Miguel Almiron, Giovanni Lo Celso, and even Calvin Stings from Feyenoord, yeah, it's gonna be a little bit underwhelming. But Charlotte, they need an attacking midfielder. That was one of their biggest priority, and that in the end looks like they were able to get it done, even though it's not the signing that they were hoping for, not the signing that Charlotte fans were kind of hoping for at the end of the transfer window. Now, Minnesota. So Minnesota has been pretty busy in terms of the transfer window, and I'm not surprised because I did say before how I'm desperately hoping that this new regime gets some reinforcement. I've been crying that out loud for pretty much every single loss that Minnesota suffered in June, which was a lot. And the good news is, it seems like they listened to me and certainly listened to the fan base because this is probably one of the more ambitious window that Minnesota has had in recent memory. I think they made 6 signings so far in the transfer window, which that is a lot of signings. Consider the short amount of time, but they of course acquired Joaquin Pereira from Atletico to come on as a designated player, and they also acquire Anthony Markanich from St. Louis in exchange for 50,000 general allocation money. Now, with Joaquin Pereira, he's a guy that I mean I don't want to say he's kind of an Emmanuel Reynoso replacement because he doesn't really play directly as a number 10, but he can definitely have potential to really help that attack for this Minnesota team, and especially being a creative player that this team's definitely still lacks heading into this season. I mean, I know Robin Lod, of course, was pretty good at that in the beginning of the season, but he's kind of fallen off, and then obviously Rosales out of nowhere just started to becoming that kind of guy, even though he's not supposed to be that guy. He's a left back. I mean, they desperately need kind of a Reynoso replacement. So this is kind of course, that, and we'll see whether if he can live up to the potential, especially with them making him as a designated player. And then, of course, getting Anthony Markanich from St. Louis. Remember Anthony Markanich and how he was really good last season for St. Louis? He's really kind of fall off the map, at least this year. Well, the big problem for Markanich this year is the fact that he's a guy that he can definitely go up forward on the attack and is a very attacking minded kind of fullback. But one of the big issue of him going forward is that he may be going a little forward too much, where he doesn't have the speed in terms of tracking back. And there's been times where whenever he's on the pitch for St. Louis, he's just getting absolutely burned because of the way that he commit himself or commit himself too forward, and he can't get back because of the lack of speed. But he's still a good backup option, and for a Loons team that lack that depth in terms of the fullback position, and really the defensive uh, depth is lacking for this team as well. I think this is definitely a good signing, and especially only for 50,000 general allocation money, not really that much that Minnesota has to pay, and we'll see whether or not if Markanich can rediscover his good form that he had. I mean, in the second half of last season for St. Louis, he was doing very well for this team, and it's a shame the fact that he never really replicated, at least in the beginning of the season, and eventually kind of fell out of the pecking order in that fullback position. Now, RSL, they have signed Polish youth international winger Dominic, and I think it's Mur. Actually, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his last name. I'm bad in terms of pronouncing Polish name, but this is obviously clearly a signings to replace Andres Gomez, who they have announced that they're going to be selling him for $11 million plus add-on to Stade Rennes. Now, I am not surprised the fact that they're looking to try to cash in for Andres Gomez because he has just been absolutely electric this season for this RSL team. And considering the fact that they only got him for $3 million a couple of years ago as a record transfer, and the fact that they're going to make 11 million plus potential add-ons for this guy. I mean that is a great example of seeing a team making some big move, finding some young South American talent, and eventually able to turn a huge profit as a result. Though that being said, this is definitely going to be a bit of a loss for RSL. I mean, I don't know too much about this Polish young international winger that is Dominic, and I think it's Mer. I'm pretty sure I'm completely butchered that name, but there's no doubt that for RSL, if you are able to get a guy for that amount of money, I mean it's hard to turn down. Even though that's going to be a bit of a loss for this RSL team because again, Andres Gomez has been just so electric for this RSL team. He's one of the key pieces on this attack for this season. And then the New York Red Bulls, they have acquired Uruguayan international Felipe Cabello from Gremio on loan, and this is clearly a move to help in terms of adding some depth in the midfield, and especially in the attacking midfield position, and maybe even a backup for Emil Frostberg, who's been kind of dealing with some injuries lately this season. But yeah, we'll see whether or not if he's gonna get some minutes. And again, especially when you are a guy that is a Uruguay international and you're coming from one of the more well known team in Brazil that is Grêmio, something tells me you could be just you could be better than just a guy that could be a utility piece when I first saw this move. Now, moving on into the last signings that I'll talk about in this News of the Week episode, and this I'm gonna just kind of talk about this relatively quickly because I think this has been the thing that everybody's been wanting to wait to happen. We knew this was gonna happen, but it's about when exactly it was going to announce, and it was announced yesterday as the Galaxy finally announced that Royce is a Galaxy player, and he's going to be on a TAM contract, which feels like an absolute steal. And this is kind of one of the things that was a concern for me because with the way that I think the Galaxy are pretty much maxed out on their DP slot. Is there going to be enough room for them to get Marco Royce? But seems like they negotiate in a way where I think they offer him a max TAM contract and work that out. And yeah, again, pretty big steal to get a guy that it's going to be interesting to see what his role is going to be because this Galaxy team is already stacked in terms of the attack, and this is also where I'm kind of surprised that they decided to go with another attacking player, and especially I know the name Marco Royce is definitely a big name. Though obviously one of the big issue I will say the Galaxy might have with Marco Royce, he's very injury prone. So we'll see how many minutes he of course will get, especially winding down his career. But again, a TAM contract is definitely a good one, and especially I'm pretty sure after the Galaxy saw how LAFC have got the likes of Olivier Giroud and now potentially going to get Antoine Griezmann next. The Galaxy knew they can't falter their rival in terms of signing some big name in coming out of Europe. That might be near the end of their career, but definitely they're to try to help their team out one last bit. And I think this could be a good deal for the Galaxy, especially they were able to get a steal of him getting on a TAM contract. Now moving on in terms of the next news and talk about players that is no longer with the team, and we start off with Xherdan Shaqiri. Yes, it's finally over. His awful contract that he has with the Chicago Fire. It's now no longer the case as the Fire was able to terminate his contract, and eventually I'm gonna do a video in terms of talk about some of the biggest bust DP signing of all time. Xherdan Shaqiri is gonna be right up the list. I think he's definitely easily top five in terms of the worst DP signing that was ever made. Just never live up to the potential that the Fire, of course, has made, and part of that is mainly due to the fact that he hasn't really shown the work effort at time. I mean, he's definitely a quality player. We saw it during his time with Switzerland in the Euros. He still got that step, but again, it just feels like the relationship between him and the team is not good whatsoever, and to a point where it was pretty clear that they had to do something in terms of finally getting out of the contract. And the good news is they finally got out of this contract, and that not only frees up a DP spot for them, but it's a huge relief the fact that for many times the Fire is a team that it is pretty clear that they are a better team, especially on the attack, if Xherdan Shaqiri is not in this roster. But the reason why they still repeatedly have to play him is because you're not going to put a guy that is making like $8.4 million on the bench every single day, because that would just be a bad look in general. And yeah, again, it's got to be a great day for the Fire, and just kind of almost a double win with them seeing their sporting director that has not done anything to change their fortune being gone after the season, and now probably their biggest dead weight in this team in Xherdan Shaqiri is no longer with this team. And then RSL have also waived Brian Oviedo today. Now, this is a bit of a surprise because I thought he has done very well for RSL this season, and I would not be surprised if there's going to be a team that is gonna claim him. In fact, he could be one of the players that could be high on the list on the waiver wire, and that yeah, again, a little surprised that they decided to waive him. I'm assuming they might have more signings that they're gonna make to replace him, but yeah. interesting to see that they decided to waive a guy that was really the quality pieces for them, especially when they started to have some injury issue in the back line. And then the Portland Timbers, they have part way with Nathan Fugaza. Now, this is not a big surprise. Consider the fact that when Mason Toy was signed for this Timbers team, my initial feeling is that, yeah, I think Nathan Fugaza is going to be uh be he's pretty much no longer going to be in the service of the Portland Timbers, and that is exactly what happened in this case. Although he's that a guy that kind of breaked into this Timbers side a couple of years ago, especially being a good substitute piece. But again, with the way that they just recently signed Mason Toy, adding already a lot of depth in terms of that number 9 position. This is no surprise that they decided to part way with him, and we'll see who, of course, will pick him up. I think he's another good option in coming out of the waiver wire, and we'll see which team is going to claim him. And then this is a move that I already mentioned in yesterday's News of the Week episode, and that, of course, is the Philadelphia Union is set to sell Jose Martinez to Corinthians. So, as I mentioned, the Union, it feels like this year is kind of their last year in terms of the core and core. They're going to start to sell out some pieces in terms of this current core, and this is one of them. This is going to be a bittersweet loss for Union fans because Jose Martinez is really a cult hero and really a cult hero in terms of the league itself. I know he has had his dirty antics, but he's a guy that for a long time is considered to be one of the best number 6 in the league. Like between him and Diego Chara and even Darlington Nagbe, probably right up there as some of the best 6 in this league. And they're going to get some transfer fee out of this, but as I mentioned before, it feels like the Union is heading to a direction where they're going to dismantle this core and go for a transitional period next season, and this is kind of the first domino to fall as a result. And then Orlando City, they have agreed to reach a long-term contract extension for Duncan McGuire. So the Duncan McGuire transfer saga I think is now finally put to the books. So there was a lot of talks that whether or not if this summer he might be going to move to another team in the championship, or maybe even Blackburn has an opportunity to sign him again. And it's so unfortunate in terms of seeing the Blackburn situation. It almost feels like it's the Lucho Acosta 2.0 situation where remember Lucho Acosta looked like he was on his way to go to PSG, and then of course it didn't quite happen. And this is the kind of the same case for Duncan McGuire, and that yeah, this season for him, it is pretty clear that this year he's definitely not as have been as good as he is in the first season. And again, part of that may be due to this fail move that he has, and how devastating that has to be for a player able to make your dream move to go to Europe, only to be dashed because the team that signed him decided to make a crucial error when it comes to getting the paperwork submitted for this transfer. But there's no doubt that at least he's going to be a or the long term future for this Orlando City side. No doubt that if he can rediscover the good form that he has, Orlando has definitely got a good player in that number nine position, and he's definitely slowly started to figure that out as well. So yeah, obviously that of course puts to the books of the Duncan McGuire saga. Though won't be surprised. Maybe if he is going to do well again like he did last season, that maybe there's going to be also some club that is going to become sniffing to trying to get him over from overseas. And then the LA Galaxy, they will receive about $1.1 million as part of the sell-on fee after Barcelona decided to sell Julian Araujo to Bournemouth. And, obviously they can immediately convert that into general allocation money because of the current rule that increase the amount of money that teams can, of course, get from transfer and can convert it to the GAM as well. Though I'm pretty sure Galaxy fans would wish that they would have got more out of this deal, and especially, I don't think Barcelona has done a good job in terms of developing Julian Araujo. And again, I also don't think that him going to Barcelona was the right club to do so. I mean, he has played for the reserve side a little bit, have been gone on loan for a bit, but I do think that there would have been a better club for him to join besides the almighty Barcelona. And also, not to mention Barcelona is so deep in debt right now. They're definitely selling any pieces that they can get for a certain amount, and we'll see how he does now that he's going to Bournemouth, and that yeah, at least the Galaxy does get a fair amount of money that they can immediately convert that into general allocation money. Now, OJC Nice is set to sign Rapids and Canadian international center back Moses Bombito for $7.7 million, and I won't be surprised this deal could be complete very soon. And again, this is definitely a big decision the Rapids have to make. It sucks the fact that they lose their star center back, but when you are offering that amount of money, and especially an amount that is a record amount for not only the Colorado Rapids, but I think even for MLS too, I don't think there's been a center back that has been sold for that much of an amount. The Rapids, they know that that's good, too good of a price to pass up, and knowing the fact that Moses Bombito, he really broke out. Not only this season, but now being on the Canadian national team and was a regular too during their run to Copa America, it was no surprise that eventually the Rapids will want to cash this in. And that, yeah, again, $7.7 million. That's a lot of money to, of course, get back out of that, and we'll see what eventually we'll see the final detail when this move, of course, will be complete. And then Montreal, they also are set to sell Matt near to Grasshopper in the Swiss league. Though again, the amount that I heard, it was only like $1 million, which that feels criminal. The fact that they decided to sell one of their best players for only $1 million, and again, the problem for Montreal right now is that there's a lot of issue when it comes to the front office with this team. There's been clear neglect, and obviously fans are absolutely fuming in terms of the actual guy that is running the show right now, and Joey Saputo. I mean, I think between him and John Fisher, they're two right now probably the most hated owner right now in MLS. And again, just absolutely criminal the fact that they would decide to sell a player for only $1 million. I would think he would be worth more than just 1 million that they're going to get him. And if this deal, of course, would be made, I'm really sorry, Montreal fans, in terms of the gong show that is going on within in the club. I mean, I don't know which gong show you want to be part of, either that gong show or whatever is going on with the San Jose Earthquakes, which unsurprisingly they did nothing this secondary transfer window to solve the biggest issue that they have with their team. And now moving on in terms of news that is not related to transfers. So talk about some USL Championship news. The Oakland Roots, they will play their home games in the USL Championship next season at the Oakland Coliseum. Now, obviously, this was always on the cards, knowing the fact that the A's are going to be moving to Sacramento in a very controversial move. That there was question that is the Coliseum going to be torn down next year as a resort. Well, doesn't seem like it's going to be the case. At least it's just going to be there one more year, though it is going to be kind of weird, especially me potentially going to Roots game next year at the Coliseum, and that I know the good thing about them playing the Coliseum compared to where they play right now, CSU East Bay in Hayward, is the fact that there at least is good public transportation to get there to the game. The reason why Roots game has suffered for a bit of a decline in attendance is that it is really hard to get to CSU East Bay without driving, and it's not very close to go from Oakland to Hayward. But here, I think this is going to really help the Roots, especially a lot of Roots fans are definitely A's fans as well, and I know they're very frustrated in terms of the situation that they've been dealing with. But at least this is a way for them to kind of almost returning to their home and seeing the team that they root for is going to play in the former home of the A's. So I have no doubt this is not a long term solution. There has been a lot of talks that they're going to be building that new stadium near Malibu lot close to the Coliseum, and I think this is again just kind of a stopgap situation for them before eventually they do get the approval to build that new stadium at Malibu lots. Now, Lexington XC, they have also announced that they are set to join the USL Championship from USL League One after next season. Now, what's kind of ironic is the fact that Lexington SC is having a lot of problem in USL League One this season. They're currently dead last in the standings, and it's kind of ironic the fact that in the era of promotion and relegation kind of debate, that you would see a team that is currently dead last gets a chance to get promoted to the USL Championship. I mean, that's clearly is not going to satisfy any promotion and relegation kind of believer and supporter right now. But there's no doubt that with the way that they are building a new stadium as well, and knowing that that new stadium could be good enough to host USL Championship game. This is the reason why they decided to move up, and not to mention that means that we could see a good Kentucky derby or Kentucky derby that is going on. And no, I'm not talking about the horse racing, but I'm talking about more of the soccer. Sure, where you have two Kentucky team facing against each other between Lexington and Louisville. That could be a good rivalry that could build up in the USL Championship. So yeah, obviously we'll see how they do in the USL Championship next season. I mean, it can't be worse than what they are right now in the USL League One, which again they're right now bottom of the USL League One as we speak. And then moving on to the last news, so La Liga, it seems like they're doing this again. So a couple of years ago, I've heard that they were planning to place a couple of regular season games in the US, and it feels like now that they're going to try to do it again. And there was a lot of backlash in terms of that, and rightfully so, because obviously it just makes no sense in terms of having these European League decided to play regular season games there. I know people will make the argument, well, the NFL does that, the MLB also does that, all these other professional league does that. Why can't we see some of these European league does it? Yeah, the difference is a lot of these European leagues and these fan base, the sports culture there is completely different than the American sports culture. And while American fans, they don't mind seeing their league decides to expand to another country and maybe build some support in other country, because obviously we know football is a sport that, well, it's king in the US. Everywhere else it's not really considered to be the number one sport, and obviously the NFL is trying very hard to grow the sport, and the same goes for other league like the MLB trying to grow baseball overseas as well, especially in Europe and in the UK. It just does not work when it comes to European League decide to come to US to host regular season game. I mean, it they do it in 3 seasons as well, but there's a reason why they do that, because it's clearly a cash cow kind of tournament. But obviously, when you do it in the regular season, when games are actually matter, fans would be absolutely irate that they, of course, will not be playing some of their big games in front of their home venue, and they might see this as kind of like a cash cow kind of way, similar to the Super League idea that was proposed a couple of years ago, and that idea is completely shot down because of the amount of fans absolutely fuming about that. And also, not to mention, if this of course does happen, where La Liga decide to have a Barcelona versus Atletico Madrid regular season game in Miami, who knows what La Liga is going to do? Are they going to put El Clasico now in the US as well? And I know they've already done it before in the preseason as well, but that would just kind of ruin the game. We should not see the biggest rivalry game in club soccer debate to really to be played anywhere but the home ground of the team. It just does not fit that culture compared to what we see with the American sports culture, where a lot of fans of different sports are okay with seeing teams decided to play overseas as a way to grow the sport. And again, I think the other reason why La Liga maybe want to do this is clearly financial reason. They want to gain that fan base in the US, though it's going to be hard to do so, because the Premier League is still the king when it comes to the fan base. Like, the Premier League is a league that I'm pretty sure right now, out of all the big five European league, that is the league that has the most following out of anyone, and it's not even close whatsoever. But at least La Liga is trying to do this to maybe gain some support, but instead it feels like it's going the wrong way, and it could be a backlash, and even the U.S. Soccer Federation and FIFA could block this move, because again, just doesn't make sense whatsoever when you decide to have regular season games in a domestic league host in another country. I mean, imagine you imagine if there's a Premier League games that is happening. Imagine if Man City and Liverpool can be played in New York for a regular season game. That's gonna. I'm pretty sure there's gonna not only be a lot of backlash, but there could be some boycott that could happen if that is the case. There you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of me going over all these news. And again, it's a relatively long news of the week episode because we have a lot of news to go over. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button, and as always, let me know in the comments below what you think of all these news. And if there's any news I didn't mention here on the board, let me know in the comments below as well. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.